Just let me know if you see that come up live, George.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we are live at the moment. It is recording. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for joining me. And for those that don't know who I am, my name's Aaron, and I'm a Syil user over here in Melbourne, Australia. And I've had a Syil machine for about 3 years, and it's still going strong. It's the older X7 with the cast iron frame running an LNC controller. In our live stream at the moment, we've got the UK distributor, George, and the company director and managing CEO, Mr. XuShuo. So thank you, gentlemen. Let's just do a little bit of a round table. And George, because you're at the top of the screen there, we'll start with you if that's okay. George, would you like to just explain to our viewers what you actually do and for Syil and over there in the UK?
Yes, thank you, Aaron. It's been a ride. Let's say it that way. Started working with Syil in 2019, although we'd made the first connections through yourself in 2018. And since then, I've been working with Mr. XuShou directly to bring a renewed energy to Syil in the UK and by extension to Europe. Since then, we've placed quite a number of machines in the UK, mainly towards the hobby, prosumer, small business end of the market. And now I'm looking to expand that to much more industrial users. Obviously, with the new machines that are coming out, it's quite critical that we end up in the industry rather than just the garage.
Yeah. Thank you, George. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may just see our USA component there, Mr. Paul Frink, over in the Cape Cod, USA. So thank you, Paul, for joining in. I realise that you're double booked today, so I do apologise for taking up your family time. Before we go to you, Paul, we'll go to the company director and CEO, Mr. XuShou. Would you mind telling us how you actually started Syil and how did it start?
It's a good story, and before we make the machine tours, we assemble some. It's same as all the machine tour builders' histories. They're looking for some toolings to manufacture some parts. So we're searching for very affordable machines at the beginning, and then we decide we convert some many machines to the CNCs. And finally, we find out that it's opportunities for everyone who can buy a good cost machines, very affordable machines. So we decided we go in this business and in this start to manufacture CNC machines. At the beginning, we started for the hobby machines, and step by step, we make the machine tours more professional, and it's many users in China in the resellers industry business. So that is the stories which we start. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Xu, for sharing that with us. I appreciate that, and I've been following Syil for a while, so I've watched the progression, but we'll get more into that as we go through the discussion. We're going to cut down to Paul now, and Paul's going to explain to us and what he does over there at Cape Cod and what he brings to the table. And for some of you that don't know, the Facebook user group is the brainchild of Paul. So Paul, take it away.
How you all doing?
Good.
Well, I'm involved in sales, also help people with tech support. I answer the phone pretty much every day from sunup till way past sundown. Anytime I'm awake, I answer the phone if somebody has an issue. Just trying to make sure everybody's happy and keep all these machines running.
Yeah. And tell us, what was the reason you started the Facebook user group, Paul? Just quickly, if you don't mind.
I was actually a customer before I started here, and I was worried I wouldn't get tech support right away, and maybe somebody would help me out if I had an issue. And I was hoping people would join and had the same interest as me. And it's just kind of got a mind of its own now.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, it's good that we can actually see some people behind the scenes, because as you know, I'm just a user. I'm not a reseller. I'm not an agent or anything like that. But it's nice for the community to actually see the people, who are supporting the product, and especially the company CEO, Mr. XuShuo, that they can actually see there's a real person behind the company. So look, Syil is not a small company. So we know about the small machine stuff and how. Tell us a bit more about the larger machine. So why have we not seen many of the T and V series around? And this might be a better answer for George if you want, and then cut
Well,
down.
let's face it. Okay, before 2018, the face of Syil was in the hobby market, and they had, let's say, a bumpy ride because they were learning. But after 2018, we've seen a massive increase in the quality control that is happening both out in China and also in the States. There's been a lot more serious user interaction with the factory, and every time there is a new idea or every time there is an improvement, the factory have taken this on and implemented into the machines. So that is really one of the reasons why I came in and I said it's worth me spending my time with Syil, and I can see my inputs being taken on board and moved forward as well. So it's a very nice collaboration. Regarding the larger machines, it's really down to the cost of the shipping. So to ship a 16-ton machine is not the same as shipping a 2-ton machine. The user group that we had was mainly focused on the smaller machines, hobby machines, and then slightly more expensive, going all the way into like what we talk the X7. There have been a few T series around. So on Instagram, you will find at least 2 users that use the T series. There's a T3 and a T5 out in the wild. But we don't see the industrial users on the socials. So although the T series and the V series are respectable machines in Asia, in China, and I know that Mr. Xu has sold a lot of these machines, we don't see them because we can't actually go in and take photographs of them.
Yeah.
That puts us on the back leg as well, and it's not easy for us to prove the credibility of these machines to the Western world without actually having a machine there where a user can go in and touch it, feel it, see it.
Exactly. So, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that in industry, there's people doing lots of work, but unfortunately they don't let cameras in there to film or to show what they're doing. Okay, Mr. XuShuo, if do you mind me ask you a quick question there? Why did you move to the epoxy granite model machine and away from casting?
In fact, I think after 2015, we always think the question is what kind of products could be real bring value to the customers. So, we compete with some brand like the Tormach or some other hobby brand, mostly like the routers, and we start the first generation products without a linear guide, and then we have the X5. I mean, the iron casting X5 with the linear guiders make the machines more accurate to compare some dovetails machines. But after I learn more about this industry, about this business, I find out from the real accurate machine to the hobby machine is still a big distance. So we need to find a way to make this balance. So if you look like some very high end machines from Europe, like from the Switzerland, from Germany, they also very compact. They can go into the very serious industry, no matter for the medical, and somebody also interesting to put on them in the garage or home, but the cost is too much. So that is why we want to make the very accurate machines. So we decide we should not use traditional way and we need to find new materials. So that is why we start by the epoxy granite, and this is the reason we start. Yeah.
As
May I
a
add to that point?
Yep, certainly.
We're hearing that China as a country is also clamping down on the industries that are dirty. So foundries
yeah,
and
exactly.
casting housings, they are dirty. They spend a lot of energy. They pollute. Cast iron is a commodity that is becoming very expensive. The processing of cast iron takes a very long time. So, for example, you hear stories of Bridgeport burying their machines for 5 years to stress relieve. Haas the same, but with with the epoxy granite, you can reduce the carbon footprint of the machinery itself because there's no excess energy required to melt the material. It's there, it's poured, it's ready,
Yeah.
and we don't have the problem of stress relieving in the same capacity as a cast iron frame. So we're not putting these castings in an oven to stress relieve them.
Yep.
And hoping that they don't move.
Thank you, George. I've just got a quick comment come in, and maybe Paul can answer this one. Paul, the comment is from DJ, and they're going for industry. You need to have technicians that can repair the machine if needed without a known time. I know that you offer after sales support, don't you, as well in the USA?
Yeah, we do, but it's on a pretty much on a per incident basis. It's not like we go out for every single thing. If somebody had a major issue, we could get out there and take care of an issue.
Yep, no, fair enough. And I think what other people don't sort of understand is that they're in their respective countries, there are people that actually service CNC machines. So a CNC machine is just like an automobile, any sort of machinery. It does need 10 to 11 care and servicing and maintenance. So yeah, there are companies, there are private people out there, not just from Haas or DMG Murray, but there are private technicians that go out and fix machines. Yeah,
we have that in the UK. I quickly realized that this was going to be the case, and I've got a technician, a company that I subcontract the repair and maintenance to. We also offer a service contract. So if for a certain amount of money, they're guaranteed a 72-hour call out quicker if they need an emergency repair. Luckily, we haven't had to use that sort of thing just yet. Most of the failures have occurred early on in the shakedown period of the ownership of the machine, which is actually quite good, because we've got people that are running their machines 17 hours a day at full tilt, 12,000 RPM spindles, and they're going all day. The only time it stops is to change a tool or to change the parts out. And from a reliability perspective, once the machine is shaken down, and we found the little niggles that even the user is able to correct, or we help them correct so far remotely. In some cases I've been on site. The machines actually do perform. So much so that people are seeing the benefit of going down the SIL route because there's value for money, and they buy second and third machines as well.
Look, absolutely, and I'm sort of getting you guys off topic a little bit, so I do apologise. But value for money, bang for buck, and I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not a salesman, but I've noticed a big step up. As you know, I helped take delivery of an X7 a couple of weeks ago with my friend Greg, and the new epoxy granite. And I have to honestly say, I don't think there's any other machine that can compete with it at the moment in that price range for what the bang for buck and what you get. Now, there's just one other question that came in. It's from Ryan, and Ryan's asking here: anyone running the T5 or T7 machines in the US? I'm in Ohio, trying to decide to go with an X7 or a T series. Look, Ryan, I'll answer that one for you quickly, and Paul might want to jump in there as well. Jump onto the Facebook user group site, mate. I think, how many users have you got now, Paul?
I want to say 2,700.
Yep. So that's quite a big user group all over the world. There's quite a few in the USA, and I'm sure someone over there could, help demonstrate a machine. Did anyone else want to say anything about that?
I think Mr. Shu has, or yeah, Paul, you will know that there are some on the West Coast, aren't there? If I'm not mistaken.
There are. I'm not sure how open they are to actually let people in. I'm pretty sure they're bigger corporations, and they're not a
Yeah,
garage guy that wants to have somebody over for a beer.
yeah,
Yeah,
they have
that's
some
right.
series machines, and I don't think it's transparent for people come to look. But X7 and T is whole different,
Right.
and in next 5 or 10 years, or we will keep going with epoxy granite materials machines like design or development. So I will not turn back to um, like keep doing the iron casting machines. I mean, at least for new models. So we keep selling to the older machines for worldwide customers, but for new products, I will not involve any iron casting model anymore. We
Okay.
only with epoxy granite.
The
Thank
T
you.
series is a very respectable series. The castings that are being used are very similar to some of the larger brands that we see with the sort of drum type ATC, the drill tap centers. They're very, very quick. They've proven to be widely used in Asia, and the factory that finishes them actually has quite good ties with some of the other brands as well. So it's in all a T series. There is not much more risk in buying a T series or a new epoxy granite, but if you can hold off and maybe look at the epoxy granite, you will get a lot more tricks up the sleeve. Let's put it that way. If you're interested in doing rapid changes between tapping, drilling, and so on, then yes, okay, you won't be able to beat the speed. But the speed of the X7 on the X, Y, and Z axes is scary. I kid you not. So from that perspective, it's down to whether you can get a good deal or whether you can get it into your workshop or whether you actually need the 21 tools and the rapid tool changes.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, there's just one question that came in just quickly, and then we're going to go to talk about the new machines coming for 2022. There was a question there about manuals. When can we get? I'll just show it on the screen here. When can we expect a more thorough manual from Syil? Chris, they are currently being updated all the time. I know that because I see them coming through the Facebook user group. George, did you want to say something about the manuals or?
Yes, I'm working very closely with Syil HQ on getting an actual English set of manuals. Coronavirus did put us back a little bit, so we were hoping to have more hands to assist with it, but whenever I've got the time, I sit down. I've created some drawings that people can use that will show them the safe way of lifting the machines, the critical dimensions of how they need to be placing the machines, and then as we go through, it'll become a little bit more specific to each model of machine. What people do need to understand is that when you buy a machine tool, because it's coming with various components. So, for example, the casting, the enclosure, the design of it, the PLC components, the electrical components, they are Syil. However, we place a specific controller on there, and that controller suite is made up of components from a particular manufacturer. For example, Siemens, my favorite. You get a Siemens machine, everything on there, all the motors, the drivers, and the controller are coming from Siemens. So we will look to bring those manuals for the VFD or the driver or the controller as a package to the customer. LNC is another very, very popular controller. It's been around. I think, Aaron, you've got the 5800.
Yes, I've got the older, the
It's got
LNC 5800. Yep.
correct. So it's got its programming manual, which people will be able to use to program it. And for all intents and purposes, it's as close to a standard vanilla G-code programmed machine as you can get, with minor macro changes. And that, because it's Taiwanese, there isn't as much documentation freely available. We are working to change that. Finally, in the past couple of years, Syil have been partnering with Syntec, and from Syntec we've gotten our own version of the controllers, which we call the Syil 22MA, and that is very, very impressive. Under the hood, it's got very strong capabilities. It's well programmed. We've had discussions with Syntec USA. They have made customizations for us. They've managed to make things and incorporate things for the graphical user interface that I would expect from any modern controller. And they're expanding that as well.
Is that the one you fitted to your machine, Paul?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
They're also working on a GUI for probing. They ran into some snags and had to basically start over from scratch because it was a problem they couldn't overcome. But now they found a workaround and they're redoing the whole back end so that you can probe very easily all different options for corners, G54, angles, pockets, holes, with a step-by-step walk you through right on the screen.
Okay.
I've had a conversation with him regarding the tool length stuff, and that's really where X and Y setting of your works coordinate systems is generally quite easy, but getting the Z and making the Z offset easy and intuitive, we spent some time discussing it with Syntec, and they've come up with a very nice way so that you can set the Z with any tool that's in your spindle. You do not need to go down the master tool route, which is, in my mind, archaic. It works with a tool length setter. So honestly, guys, if you're buying a machine, buy it with a tool length setter, even if you only use it once in a while. It's worth having that investment.
Well, before we jump into it, just a couple of questions before we start talking about the new machines. Paul, I've got to dip my hat to you, mate. I saw you rebrain that machine with that controller, and it's a work of art, mate. Well done. I'd take my hat off to you. I don't think I could have done it. So good.
It was quite an effort.
Good work. Mr. XuShou, you might be able to answer this one. We've got a question come in, and the gentleman's obviously must be in New Zealand, or lady or gentleman, I'm not too sure. I've found the cost to get a machine to the NZ prohibitive. Is there anyone I can talk to locally? Do you have a dealer in New Zealand? You do?
We have new partners in New Zealand, and later I can.
All right. Do you mind if I put your info at Syil email in the comment section? They can contact you so you can
no problem
chase it up. So yeah, I believe it's. Let me just bring up that real quickly. Before I do that though, so let's move on to number 3. So new machines coming in 2022. So the new Syil catalog was shared at the end of 21, and all machines are now epoxy granite, compact and well priced. Tell us a bit about the X7, how it's become a successful machine. So George, would you like to run with that, or would you like one of the other to answer it?
Well, let's start. Since you've assigned me, I'll go ahead. The X7 is a departure from the old X7. So the one that you've got is somewhere on the fence between what we would class as a very expensive prosumer sort of self-employed person machine, all the way into the new epoxy granite. And the epoxy granite squares up against the other competitors like the Super Mini Mill. We've got a lot of technology packed into it, not just the casting, but also the abilities of the controllers, the spindle speed that it comes with as standard. The coolant pump that is being placed on these machines is very impressive, and it comes as standard. You don't have to buy another package for it. The tool changers on there is 12 and 16. Again, for the same size of machine from another manufacturer, you would get 8, I think, or 10 tools.
10.
10? Yeah, 10. And it's 1.5 meters wide. You can put it up against the wall on the right-hand side and have full access to it. So it fits into places where other machines would not be able to fit.
Right.
From that perspective, it's priced well as well. So they're saying, why would I pay 20 grand more in whatever currency you want to get a brand when I can get a lot more for my money. And for the price of a Syil X7 with an LNC on the 4th axis, a probe, a tool length setter, you'd be starting with a competition.
So, yeah. Well, I can just elaborate on that. So, and Paul, I'm not too sure about the competition. So a Haas mini mill, when we purchased our Haas super mini mill over here at the school where I used to work, it was close to $90,000 Australian. Okay. So, and the price of a Syil, you can nearly buy 2 of them. Okay.
Literally.
2 Syils to one Haas. Now, I'm not too sure if that's the case in the USA, but that's definitely the case over here in Australia. Now,
there are drawbacks, and we'll be 100% frank. Okay, because it's a smaller machine and footprint, and because it's a smaller machine in general, the power on the spindle is where we might be set back.
Haas rates all their spindles at overload. That's not continuous duty. So when they say 15 horse, that's maximum 15 horse.
That's right. Yeah.
We rate everything continuous.
Yeah. That you're right. Our super mini mill was 15 horsepower, but I think that's peak load or something. I don't think that's not 100% duty cycle.
No.
So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, sorry, I cut out there. Yeah, carry on.
Okay. Look, I don't know what this is, but what is STAC, S-TAC, and what is it, and why is Syil doing it?
That is thermal accuracy composition system, which have some sensors inside of the machine to detect if the thermal, change and compensate the number to the CNC controllers. So we'll be making machines instant accuracy in any kind environments. So that is very good technologies, which will bring to our machines become a standard package. So then customers, if they want upgrade, like for each axis, so we can open these functions to them, but the machines already includes the hardwares inside in the future machines. So we will packing that become a standard at the beginning for the spindles. So when the spindle, if you machining parts after some hours, the spindle will be going the land will be changed. So with these functions, we can make the machines more accurate in the future. Yeah.
It's quite a nice story, and Mr. Shu called me up and said, "I've got this into the system, and we want to call it the Accurizer." I said, "Well, we can't call it that, so let's come up with a nice name for it." And I threw the name STAC out there because it sounds tactical, it sounds cool, right? And it's the potential for it, because there are sensors all around the machine. As we move into what we term the Industry 4.0, where everything needs to be controlled, everything needs to be measured, everything needs to be online with data tracking, this is the first step that Syil is making into actually incorporating a system that is made for this. So in the future, we expect everybody would want to connect to their machines from a remote station to be able to track when the spindle is running, when the operator is running, where in the torque curve the machine is running. So with the STAC, we're one step closer to that because we can measure what temperatures everything is running, and you'll be able to see from miles away, hey, look, the machine is producing accurate parts because we know it. It's cutting correctly. It's at the right temperatures. The temperatures are not exceeding where we want the sweet spots to be. In hotter climes where people were complaining, like I was talking to some colleagues in Greece, where in the summer they say that there's no point in having a C3 ball screw, for example. They can't use high accuracy ball screws because the temperatures fluctuate between 15 degrees at night and 38 degrees during the day. With the STAC, we were able to alleviate that.
Okay. That's quite scientific, isn't it? It's really getting up
It
there
is, yeah.
technologically. Yeah, it's incredible. Alrighty, so
I have a question.
yeah. Thank you. Sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
That's okay. What controllers are going to support the STAC?
It's all kind of controllers like Syntyc, Funnel, Siemens, all kind of controllers.
Cool.
All right. So I noticed there's been a change with the X5. The X5 was really a little benchtop machine inside a big enclosure. Do you want to talk a bit about that with the new X5 2022?
We plan these products lines. We think a lot because if customer look from the V series, there was so many models, and from 600 millimeters for size of machines to the big size is so many competitors. So we just want to replace the old hobby machines to more industry, and that is why we use the epoxy granite, but it's a whole different compared to the old type machines. It's from the ground, and it's almost a similar weight like the X7, but it's more compact size. It's just 1 meter wider, but very quickly machines. It's building type spindle, not like it's direct linked spindle, no build type. I can say it's more accurate than any other models for this new X5. But it's heavy. It's not light machines. It's very heavy machines. Yes.
Yep. Did you have some photos there, George, you wanted to share of the X5, or not at this point in time?
So basically, I think we should just talk about what the new models are. And on the screen, you will see that there's the whole new range of epoxy granite machines from the X5.
Yep.
The already known X7. The X9 is coming later on in the year, and we already have photographs of the X11. The X5 is made to fit into a much smaller footprint than the X7, but it's still an industrial machine. The X9 is somewhere in between that and the X11. If there is interest, what we can do is we can talk about some tech specs. I've got the catalogs up here, so if we go to the X5, for those interested in numbers, your travels are 300 millimeters by 280 by 300. So that's 12 inches, 11 inches, and another 12 inches. But the space is basically 1 meter wide, and that will allow you to shoebox a number of these side by side. The good thing with most of the Syil machines is that there's always one side of the machine you can put up against the wall. So for example, this X5, you can put up against the wall on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side. The X7, which we can put it up against the right-hand side. The X7 now has got travels of 400, 300, and 380, and the Z is just enough to be able to put a fifth axis in. The 5, unfortunately, might be a bit too small. Fourth axis, no problem. All of the machines will be able to take the fourth axis.
The 5 has a side mount tool changer, does it?
No, the 5 has got a drum type. I was looking to see if I can bring up some photographs of the casting.
Yep. I'm just going to jump in there.
Maybe towards the end of the session, I might be able to bring up a graphic of what the 5 actually like inside.
I'm just going to cut in. Paul, are you still right, mate, or have you got to? I know you've got a prior engagement, so you're going to duck out.
No, they went inside. I don't think the awards start yet, so I got a few minutes.
Okay, no worries. So, well, look, if we see Paul disappear, he's got a family engagement. So, anyway, we'll keep going. Sorry, George, I cut you off. I just wanted to jump in there.
No, that's quite all right. I'm seeing that we have some questions on the 11. Now, the 11 is a big boy. but is not a meter machine just yet. So the travels on that one are 31.5 inches by 21.6 by 21.6, or if you talk proper money, that's 800 by 550 by 550. So I don't know where that will sit within the competition, but it definitely does beat them on the speeds. So, for example, let's go and look at the feed rates that we can expect. Cutting feed rate of 10,000 millimeters per minute, and that's purely because you don't want to be running any faster than that. You're going into router woodworking type speeds after that. But the rapids are still 48 meters a minute.
Holy
And
crap.
for a machine like that, I mean, these are exactly the same rapids that we see on the X7.
Just give that in freedom units, mate. What's that in inches?
So let's go back to that one. So that's 1,889 inches per minute on the rapids, and 393 inches per minute on the cutting.
That's
moving.
crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it scares me every time I go to my machines and I press the rapid button and the Z up. It's split seconds and it's all the way up.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic selling tool. That and the coolant hose.
George, if I can just jump in, look, I'm getting quite a few comments, people asking about pricing.
Yes.
We can't give pricings in this live stream. You really need to contact Syil directly to find out, because is that correct, George, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to put my email address up, that's fine.
Is that okay? So I'll pop them in as well. So I'll put in the chat section in a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'll put. I've already put in Mr. XuShou's. I'll put in George's and Paul. All right. Sorry, Paul. I apologise for cutting you off.
It's
That's
very
okay.
important. It's very important that you get in touch with your local representative. And the reason you want to do that is because we will take care of every step in the purchase process. So the price that you might get at the factory, if you are unlucky to not have a local representative, then the factory will be giving you a price for either FOB or direct to your door. However, that will not include all the duties and all the handling charges that will be incurred. From experience, having imported machines previous to that, I would have always loved to know exactly what I'm paying. So it's our responsibility, whether it's Syil UK, Syil USA, Syil Canada, to give you a price that will remain the same. Yes, well, there are ups and downs, but we make this clear to you at the beginning of it. In the UK, distances from the port to most customers are very short. So the prices I give tend to include the delivery to your door in a standard truck. So then we can start discussing, do you need commissioning? Do you need training? Do you need a bit more of an advanced seating arrangement? Or basically, do you need help unloading the machine from the truck? Do we need to get a crane to you? Do we need to get a forklift truck to you? All that kind of things we are here to help you with. In Europe, we'll start trying to get this supply chain thing going. I think the US already has riggers and people that can assist. Isn't that right, Paul?
Most people just rent a forklift. We don't. We haven't had too many people ask about that, but we can do it if needed.
Mr. XuShou, is there
Yes.
an Australian dealer at the moment? I've just had a comment come in about Australia. Is there currently a dealer over here?
No.
No.
I handle Australian market in my person.
Okay, so Australasia, if we're looking at Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia sort of area, I'd say just, ladies and gentlemen, just contact Mr. XuShou directly, and I'll put the email in there. Hopefully that helps you, Sonny, answer that question.
Shall we go into the 9? Just a very quick.
Yes, that'd
so
be great.
So basically the 9 is somewhere between the 7 and the 11. We don't know much about it because currently the backlog at the factory that makes the castings is pushing us back a little bit in production, but we should be able to start seeing photographs around Q2 this year. And that one will have 600, 400, 500 travels. So that's 23 inches by 15.7 by 19.7. The space, again, it's very compact. So inside, you won't see a lot of dead space. It's all taken up by something. And that one still has, the same sort of cutting and rapid speeds. With all the machines that you get, you can get a standard option for the spindle, or you can upgrade it. So we can go all the way up to 30,000 RPM in some cases. The higher end spindles will also have through spindle coolant, and we've delivered one to the UK very recently. We're just waiting for it to be fully commissioned. And this will be sort of, when you ask us for a price list, you will get a standard package which will be based on the controller with the optional extras further down. In the new version of the website, Mr. Shu has been very, let's say, very direct in saying that we need to be able to publish these prices on the website, so that our customers don't have to wait for us to contact them. They will be able to know exactly, before they even reach us, what they would be expected to pay in every country.
Currently, the online configuration is too much complicated, because customers they need to choose so many options to make a complete machines. So that is why we decide to packing the machines with different options already and transparency the price. So I think our new version web page will be available in this month. Yeah. So when will the Syil X7 X9 release? Yeah. I think in the June and July. This year 2022, we will have X5, X9, and will be a new products, because X7, X11 is already available for more than a year. We sell many X11 in domestic, but we just decided to put this to the international market. Yeah. So this year will be X5 and X9. So we will have four full products for the epoxy granite and for the global customers.
Power requirements, Mr. XuShou, for the X. So most of the machines, they're all three phase, or is it now? Is there some single phase? Does anybody have some input on that?
That is why we reserve the ANC package. I mean the CNC controller, to keep the single phase power machines to the customers. But in fact, we also can provide like the phase converters. So I don't think that is a big issue. Yeah.
Okay, so the comment there was from Jay
John.
Marco, from Racing.
John Marco, a friend of mine.
John,
He's been
John,
following us for a while. Basically,
he's a good guy, John.
All of our prospective customers are good guys. I mean, you're coming into an industry where you're making things with your hands. If you're not a good guy, you don't get far. But the reality is that with a single phase machine, you are effectively reducing the capabilities of it. So you're spending all that money, because the cost of us building a single phase machine and a three phase machine is exactly the same. But with a three phase machine, we can put on a larger spindle motor. So you're buying a machine that is industrial. It's not going to go into your garage. It's going to go into a unit. If it goes into your garage, then at some point you might have the forethought, or you might have the dream to go into an industrial unit to build a business around it. So what I'm finding is that my customers are either going to the electricity board and asking, what does it cost to get three phase installed? Or two, how much does it cost to get a three phase machine so that I'm future proofing and then run with a rotary phase converter?
Which I do.
Yeah, there is a myth that CNC machines do not run on phase converters, and it is a myth. We have a number of people in the UK at least that run on phase converters.
So over here in Australia, I use an Australian company called Rotary Phase Converters. They're made in Australia, and they're actually they've got a pure sine wave in them, so they're safe for CNC. They also make a cheaper one, which is just for a manual lathe, but I've got the high-end one, which has got all the smarts in it to protect my CNC controller. The future, gentlemen, what is the future of Syil? I see is there a new website coming?
Yeah, website will be available this month, and I already repeated, and we will do it.
Thank you, Paul. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Paul's got a prior engagement. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for joining in.
Thanks for having me. Have a great night, guys.
I appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work with the Facebook page.
We're trying.
and good on you, mate. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Sorry, Mr. XuShuo. Continue, please.
Yeah. We in this year, very important for us is we need to establish for each major market for the local support, like even the indoor service. We need to put this on the map. So we need no matter if we organize this team or we hire the third party people to do this kind of service, and we need to make this alive, I think, in this year. And it's very important for the US or European customers, even though the Australian customers, because I remember in Australia we have two companies which can do this kind of service for us because they did before to replace the spindle. And I think we need to make this happen in the US and Europe or even in the other countries.
So
better groundwork all around.
As we grow, this is going to become a reality. Like speaking from my perspective, MVO up until the November 2021 was just myself and my brother. We started hiring people. The next step will be to start being able to finish and quality control machines before they go out to the customers here in the UK. And with that, we'll be able to give our customers all the support that they expect from the other manufacturers. So, for example, stocking the critical components, belts, spindles, bearings, ball screws. Yes, okay, the world is small. We can have something out to you the latest within 2 weeks. But what Corona has shown us is that it just takes, one case, for example, in Ningbo for the port to shut down.
Yep.
So having local bases is the next evolution. There is going to be an investment. However, Syil has done the groundwork to make my life easy to be able to do that. And then I will always be throwing my ideas behind there. We'll always be talking to interesting customers behind the that want to come up with interesting ideas. So their dream of a sustainable machine shop where renewable energies are used, everything is tracked, we know exactly what our power consumption is doing. And this is where Syil comes in very nicely, because you get a very well placed machine with a very high spindle. You don't have the power consumption of some of the bigger players. You don't have the cost of them. So instead of buying one very large machine, and most of the time it's just running on a small footprint of the bed, you can place 3 or 4 smaller machines that are quicker and require less power. So your ability to produce quicker comes in, your power consumption is smaller, and because we're always happy to help the customers with new projects, you can be on the forefront of technology, whether it's automation or measurements inside. And with STAC, we're edging into this industry 4.0 as well. It's if I had the people to be able to assist me right now, we would be flying in Europe. We would be absolutely flying. So I'm hoping that our customers see this and come and buy from us, because it will help us grow. And all of my customers have remained good customers because we've given them the best customer service we can.
Absolutely, George. And I've had lots of good feedback about happy customers. And you've only got to speak to one of our users, Rob Bingham, to know that. He's one of your greatest supporters. And
hello, Rob.
Yeah, you're doing great guns over there. Look, I just had a couple of questions come in quickly from Dan Collins.
Yeah.
One of them was the sales process would be enhanced by more comprehensive information and comparison between controllers. Dan, we just showed up on the screen earlier. There are some brochures out with that. Are they on the Facebook site, George? Those brochures you were showing?
Those brochures, no, not
They
yet.
come off the site. They come on the SAIL website or not?
Get in touch. Because
get in touch. Yeah.
I've also created. So all of this information will be on the new website.
All right. Okay.
I know because I personally did the comparison. We've got the comparison table for each of the builds, if you want, the variants. So that will be available when you come to the X5 webpage. You'll go all the way down to the bottom. You'll be able to scroll and see, okay, this is what I get with the LNC package. This is what I get with the Syil 22MA package.
Yeah.
What people from the hobby industry start asking is, what look ahead do you have? How many lines processing do you have? You know what? Once you start running these machines, all of that just goes out the window. Because even the LNC can do mold work.
Yeah.
The Siemens, well, okay, you buy the basic Siemens, which has got a lot of packages in from the factory because we have to put them in to be able to do what we need the machine to do. But then you can talk to your local Siemens guys and they can add extra axes, or they can add extra packages like the measurement packages if you wanted. So, which brings me to the other point, is that we do not lock down the machines.
Yeah. Dan was also asking there about a more inclusive package, tooling and that. Now, I know that's a more for the dealers that do that, to my knowledge. So over here in Australia, there's a company called Live Tools. They are happy to work with and support the SAIL user group. And if you mention that you're a SAIL owner, they will look after you. That's Arthur over at Live Tools. I know you work with the tooling person over there, George, don't you? You can supply.
Yeah, we all
tooling.
have. Yeah, we have a number of people that will help us. But I think Mr. Xu was going to say that from the factory they are able to put a package together.
Okay, right. Yep.
Yeah. For people that are struggling,
tooling package. Yeah.
Okay. You've got a tooling package.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This include like some basic tooling holder or wise.
When you shipped my machine, it came with one tool holder, which was, usually when you buy a machine, it never comes with any tool holder. So that was good. It actually came with a BT30 tool holder and a collet set. So yeah, that was like a starting kit, which was good. It came in handy.
It's actually on that point, Aaron. Tooling for the industrial machines can be had for a better price than some of the hobby stuff. It will never be as cheap as buying R8 or Morse tape or tooling. Okay, but you don't pay the premiums. So, for example, if you were to go those TTS type holders, there's $35 a pop for something that is tiny and it's got a limited size, limited torque. With a BT30, we can pick them up in the UK for the equivalent of around $22 a pop.
Same over here. Yep.
So don't be put off by the bespoke tooling. Now, if customers have a specific need, so for example, they come to George and they say, look, we want you to put together a package of end mills. We want to be able to do this, 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 and this. My experience and the experience of your local dealers will be able to point you in the direction, or say, okay, look, what's your budget? $500? Let's make the best package we can for $500.
Awesome. Really quickly, because I know we're coming to the end of the live stream. We've only scheduled this for an hour maximum. So Alexander Bowl has asked, when is the twin spindle Syil coming? I didn't know they're having one. Are you having a twin spindle Syil? No.
It means for the turning machines, but
okay. Maybe he's talking about a lathe. Are you still working on the lathe range or not?
This year, no. Next year we'll consider for turning machines. More accurate and more functionals. We'll think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that will answer the next comment. I ducked out and someone mentioned a new lathe. So I think at the moment you're concentrating on getting the whole milling range ready. I know you said the X9's coming later on in June, July. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The bigger X9. I know someone on the
we will bring the new X5, X9. I think at least 2 or 3 models to the Chicago MTS. So I think we have X7 to the UK to show in the April, right, in Georgia?
Correct. Yeah. First week of April, we'll be at Mach 2022. I'm eagerly awaiting my demo machine. It'll be an LNC machine, and the factory really pulled out the stops to be able to do that in time for the show. So that's arriving in the UK in the beginning of March, which gives me bugger all time to get it ready for the show.
So what is the name of this show? We'll just say it on here so people know.
Mach, MACH 2022.
Okay.
There's 2 questions that have been asked in the comments that I'd like to answer. One is South America.
Yes.
We do have people in South America, and they are handled directly by the factory. So Mr. Xu will be dealing with that.
Yes.
Right.
I think. What is it? It's is it Colombia or Peru that we've got the machine, Mr. Xu? Do you remember?
I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. For the true 5-axis machines, yes. The true 5-axis, how to say that? It have some very key components. I think the DDR motors, that is, the retroid tables are very important. So before that, if we want to buy or connect with the core functional parts from Germany, they'll be very complicated. Like right now, if we apply like the true 5-axis CNC controller from the Siemens, the process of these transactions take very long time. So, but lucky it is so many Chinese manufacturers right now can take the DDR, retroid tables, motors. So we are already looking, and I think we're going into the real 5-axis machines with very accurate machine frame, and I think will be next 2 or 3 years plans. But for this year and next year, we'll stick with the 4 models.
Yeah.
With vertical milling and machining centers from the small size to the X11 for 800 millimeter size. We stick these 4 models. We make the package for each package in very wonderful price, and we stick up the service for the global customers. So that is what we want to do.
Okay.
Baby steps. It's not necessarily baby steps, but the 5-axis machines in general, they are a beast. If you wanted to do it something that doesn't have, let's say, the traditional table, but it's got a traversing head like you see on the Kerns or you see on the Hermleys or these very, very high-end machines, it requires us to go through those learning steps. We don't want to rush into it. There are options now for rotary tables on all of these, so 5-axis rotary tables, but you need to understand as a customer that if it costs 6K in whatever currency you've got for a 4th axis, it might be 26K for the 5th.
Yeah.
So the jump in price, although it's reasonable and still affordable, it is a significant cost, and it's not down to us. I mean, the castings, okay, we can control them, but the software behind it, both to integrate it, so to buy a Siemens controller with full 5-axis capability, and then for you as a customer to go to your CAM provider, your your post processor and all that, that's another step, and that's a cost that you need to bear in mind.
But then you're limited to, in some countries, that will actually let you have a 5-axis machine. You've got to sign waivers and that, and I know that was the case with my friend in Vietnam when he had that big 9-axis machine. He had to sign a statutory declaration that he wasn't making munitions on it. So
yes,
a whole different.
There's all that,
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, something as well in the States for that.
Yes.
I'm more than happy to stick around if you guys are happy. If there's any more questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Yeah. So we're just about to wrap up the live stream. We're just waiting for a couple more questions to come in. Nathan Heller has asked, is the 5-axis cost option the same on the X7 and X11?
I can double check that. I know Nathan. He's we've been having conversations.
Yep.
He's got a little machine shop that is apparently stacked out with work.
Oh, good.
So give me
Good to see.
1 second. Let me figure out.
Good to see people making a go at it. It's a
Yeah, it's quite interesting that despite the downturn in all other industries, we start seeing an upsurge of investment in other places. So, for example, in the UK, there's been a lot of investment because they realize that they have to make things in house now, or at least onshore.
Yes, we're definitely seeing we watched the great how would you say, sending stuff offshore, and now we're watching it come back, especially here in Australia as well.
Nathan, I'll need to get back to you on that one because I don't have the prices for the 5-axis. So over the next couple of weeks, we might get together, Mr. Shu, and come up with those numbers.
No worries. Okay. If that's really okay, we just got one more comment to come in here. Chris has said, really appreciate everyone taking the time to answer questions and talk about the style. Well, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate you and the viewers for joining in today to watch us and listen to what we have to say. And it's really great. Like I said, I'm just here as a user. I'm not a reseller. I'm not an agent. I'm not trying to sell anyone anything, but it was really good of George, Paul, and Mr. XuShuo to take their time out today to help us. And it's great to see you here, Mr. XuShuo, because it's great that the SIL people can see who you are. And they probably don't know, but I've actually met you in person. You've come to my house over here in Australia. It was a long time ago. It was great to see. We'd love to see you come back, but obviously the global pandemic has really put the brakes on traveling at the moment, unfortunately. And George, we'd love to see you in person sometime too in the not too distant future.
We'll organize it. Yes, we'll organize it.
Yeah.
Mr. T has been asking the question about whether to go with the new X5 or the T5.
Sorry, I missed that. Yep.
Let me close with that one and say that the T5 is bigger than the X5. So if you're looking for a bigger machine, then go potentially with the T5. But the X5 will always be the star out of the two because it's quicker, it's more compact, more affordable, epoxy granite all the way through.
All right. Well, I think that's a bit it. There's a few just coming in, people just saying thanks for your time, and it's very nice of them to come out and publicly and say that. It's really good. We'll just go through them, just really good. SIL factory tour soon. Yes, that would be a good one, DJ. I've been meeting Mr. XuShuo. XuShuo's going to bring me over to China one day, and I should do a video around the Ningbo factory. I'd love to see it over there. Here we go. Just come through 3 more. What's this one here? Torque curve and rating on the 30 horsepower spindle. We were talking about that earlier, George and I privately. George, you want to just mention that quickly?
It's actually quite an impressive little spindle. Depending on which size you go, so the HSK 40, you will be able to rigid tap with an M6 in steel, but after that it starts falling off because obviously you need the power rating. But at 30,000 RPM, you can actually take whisper cuts at a very, very fast rate. So, like helically interpolating threads is not a problem for it. Where I would see most people using the HSK spindles is those guys that need to be doing aluminium work, plastic work, very, very fine cutters. For example, the machine that we've delivered here to the UK has been specifically bought to do microfluidic chips in plastics and stuff like that, softer materials. I would not say that it's a universally applicable spindle. Firstly, because the cost is much bigger. So, for example, you get a standard machine, it will have 12,000 RPM. That 12,000 RPM spindle has got ceramic bearings. It's good for running at 12,000 RPM for extended lengths of time. The HSK spindle is for those jobs where you do need to go down to the very, very fine tools. So I would not expect people. Well, we will see it, but I would not expect people to be running 63mm face mills all the time on them and hogging. Yeah, you'll use it to face off, but where it really shines is the smaller end mills up to about 12mm or half-inch, ripping through material.
Yeah. So it really depends on what your
Exactly,
need is. Horses for courses. It's like trying to take a Dodge truck down to the raceway and race it against the Ferrari. So that's the one, a layman's term or layman's way of looking at it. Gentlemen, we're going to call it a day now. We've gone over time for 5 minutes, so I really appreciate your time. Thanks once again. Thank you to Paul Frink, who had to leave. Thank you to George and Mr. XuShuo. Thank you so much. It's lovely to see you again. Looking forward to catching up with you sometime soon.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you later, everyone. Thank you once again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.